Toronto, Canada. Recognized as the most populated city in the country. Toronto is a city known for its diversity in realms beyond its population, but also its climate, economy, and culture, as it's known as the most culturally diverse city in the entire world. The streets of Toronto make it what it is today. With more indie coffee shops than a hipster could imagine, a hippie's paradise at Kensington Market, and an island getaway just a ferry ride away, it's a city of constant change. Its entertainment and nightlife is something that has also changed over the years. The downtown was quieter 30 years ago than it is today. It had not yet been turned into a giant residential district, but by the 1990s, Toronto's downtown core had some of the best nightlife in North America. Bands like Rush, AC/DC, and the Rolling Stones were playing throughout the city, and by the end of the 90s, Toronto had one of the most concentrated clusters of bars and clubs anywhere in the world. The rave scene was in its infancy, and the Guvernment nightclub was the backbone in the creation of Toronto's rave scene. This mega club brought world-renowned acts to the city's core. The Guvernment set the stage for the promising future of Toronto's nightlife. But now that's all gone. Clubs are smaller, and condominium complexes are larger than ever before. And the question is, what lies ahead? In order to investigate the future of Toronto's nightlife, we must first take a brief look to the past. After Club RPM closed on Toronto's Queens Quay in 1995, a man named Charles Caboth brought Toronto the prospect of a world-class venue, the Guvernment. After struggling to fill the venue, Caboth collaborated with DJ Mark Oliver to revive the Concrete Monster. After almost 2 decades of hosting the world's biggest DJs, Canada's largest nightclub recently closed its doors to make way for condo development on the Waterfront. The EmergeTO team set out to understand the current state of Toronto nightlife, how the impact of the Government's closing might have on the city, and where the Toronto nightlife is ultimately headed. To do so, we decided to contact 18-year resident DJ at the Guvernment, Mark Oliver. We wanted some background information on the club itself and wanted to understand how much Gov impacted the city's nightlife.
The whole stage, everything, there's no club like it. I've been everywhere, from Miami to Ibiza, there's everything, man. This place is incredible.
It's like the first club I've ever been to, all ages, like 16. Someone stole my money and my phone, but I'm like, fuck this club is awesome.
But we didn't just want to hear it from anyone. We needed to hear it from a man who created Toronto's rave scene and contributed to keeping it alive.
I think in Toronto it's such a multicultural city, and we have so many different sounds and little scenes here and there. It's I guess the one common denominator is it's a great music town, and I've seen that even before the whole electronic and house music scene took off. Bands used to love coming to Toronto because the crowds were so receptive. And anyone out there, they'll tell you that it wasn't just the club. It was a real treat to play there for so long. 18 and a half years every week. It's on that sound system, and with the crowd that came out every week was, stuff dreams are made of, really. And the sound system was second to none. It was, the size of the club was the biggest club in town when it opened, so you had that big room experience. We had Daft Punk, the first time they ever played a live show was at Guvernment in 97, I think. It seemed like it was every DJ's dream to play at the Guvernment, and not just Toronto DJs, this was worldwide. I'd get calls from DJs that had names in Ibiza, and they were like, asked me if I could get them in, to Guvernment. So we definitely have the crowd, and we have, the energy in the city to take it. But and not just because it went for so long. There was a reason it went for so long, and it would still be going if the building weren't knocked down. There really was a special feeling about the club, and a lot of that comes from the people and the music, and the coming together of the people through the music.
After sitting down with Mark, we started to realize how amazing and influential the government was to Toronto's culture, but also how much potential it still really had for the city. This got us wondering, why get rid of it? So we reached out to Waterfront Toronto to get some deeper answers.
My name is Renee Gomes. I'm the Director of Development here at Waterfront Toronto. We're a public sector agency. We were created by each of the 3 levels of government with a mandate of overseeing comprehensive revitalization of the waterfront. Tom Davidson, constituency assistant to Ward 28 Councillor Pam McConnell, elaborated on this.
There's a lot more layers to their proposal than we usually get with your typical development. They recognize that this is a site that can attract a lot of high-quality proposals.
Although some of Waterfront's responses were pretty PR-injected, it's clear that Renee and Waterfront Toronto realized that there was a need to revamp the waterfront in order to keep Toronto a competitive city on a global scale. In order for Toronto to flourish in the future, they need to take action now.
Our mandate has to do with improving the water's edge and public amenities within the waterfront for the good of the people who live here and who will visit this city as a public amenity, but also because part of our mandate and our financial model is improving the value of public land so that when we strategically determine portions of that which are sold off to private developers, that money is then reinvested back into the waterfront initiative for more infrastructure, more parks and open spaces, and other public realm and transit initiatives.
We started thinking, okay, wait, Waterfront Toronto is revamping the waterfront for the good of the people? Well, wasn't Gov attended by locals? Wasn't that for the good of the people? But we soon realized it was only for a small demographic. Renee was pretty accurate. The waterfront needs to be revamped to be a multi-dimensional space targeted towards more demographics and more usage, but we wanted to hear it from more sources to be sure.
The idea of the waterfront is to mix up all of the uses and not just have it a unidimensional place. It's not just for recreation, it's not just for working. People are going to live there, people are going to be able to learn there. Creating all of that in an exemplary public realm, like imagining the area as a new place completely with very high quality public spaces and streets and parks and other spaces, and around which you would infuse all of these uses. So very much not just condos, but what we mean is a place to live, work, play, and learn. So, I mean, the government was a market-driven idea, that warehouse fabric that was there, which is very similar to some of the warehouse fabric that was in Kings Spadina in the entertainment district. Its vacancy coincided with a trend for larger nightclubs. And I don't attend these places anymore, but these uses and these trends ebb and flow over time. So their kind of space needs and the market changes. So the city has to be, if it sees those uses as part of the mix, it has to be a little bit more deliberate about encouraging opportunities for those types of uses to continue on in new spaces. And I mean, a lot of it has to do with the operators and the market, right? What we do through regulation is only part of the puzzle.
After questioning 18-year resident DJ Mark Oliver, Director of Development for Waterfront Toronto, Renee Gomes, Toronto City Planner Greg Lintern, and some fans of the scene, we came to understand how special the government was, but also that the waterfront shouldn't be pigeonholed into a single-dimensional space for music fans only. It has so much potential for everyone to enjoy, and that's what the city is aiming to do. And why not just build around the Gov? Because while Greg reminded us that the square pad is taking up a small amount of square footage, in reality it takes up plenty of potential vertical space. But now, what's in store for the music industry in Toronto? What can you expect of the culture in your city? Will Toronto fail or flourish in its attempt to be that diverse entertainment metropolis we strive to be? Will condos take over and destroy the scene? Or will the industry prove stronger?
I'm not going to wait for the city to do anything. Like, if we want to do something, we'll do it ourselves. The city and the government, the pace that they move is not my pace.